For absolute value equations, you have to first make sure the absolute value itself is by itself. So right now in problem 1, you have a -5 that's attached to it. Now, the way I do it is I'll look and see, is there anything between this number and that absolute value? And there's not. There's no addition or subtraction, which means this is multiplication. So first I will come in here and I will do division, and that will cancel him. Then my absolute value will be by itself. And that's going to give me a -2. Now, here's the thing about absolute value. Absolute value is the distance away from 0. Well, if I'm talking about distance away from 0, I can't have a negative, like, distance. It's not directional. It's just a distance. Because nobody tells you, hey, walk 10 feet to your negative, or walk -10 feet. They don't ask you to do that. So it's the same kind of deal here. This cannot be negative. So once I get to this point and this is negative, I know that that's a no solution. Okay, so no solution because it's negative. It has to be a positive number. And that's why the correct answer for this one is a no solution. Okay, for this next one, again, I look to see is my absolute value alone. And it's not. I have a -4 that's attached to the back. So I'm going to have to move him over. So to get rid of the negative, that inverse is going to be addition. So I'm adding 4. Now I've got an absolute value of 2x plus 6. And that's going to equal 24. Okay, unlike the last one, that's positive. So I am good to go and keep working with this one. All right, so what I'm going to do is at this point, once you're positive here, you split this and make 2 equations. Because it's absolute value and it's talking about distance away from 0, we don't know whether they're talking about to the left or to the right. So we have to include both the positive and negative options here. So we're going to do 2x plus 6 equals positive 24 and 2x plus 6 equals negative 24. And then we just solve each one of those separately. So I minus 6 from both sides, and I can actually solve these at the same time since I'm making the same motions. This one will give me a 2x equals, and that's going to be what? Minus 18. And this one's going to give you a 2x equals a negative 30. And then my last step is to come in here and divide by 2. And when I do that, I get x equals 9, or I get x equals negative 15. And there are my 2 answers for this problem. Okay, for this next one, it is the same situation and same setup as the last one, except instead of having a positive, or instead of having a negative there, I had a positive, so I have to subtract. Okay, and like problem 1, when I do that, I end up with x plus 2 equals a negative 2. Again, negative. So if that's negative, it's a no solution. Okay, and that one's finished. So now we can move on to this one. So this one we're going to look at, and I need to get that absolute value alone. Again, I have a -4, but there's no addition or subtraction, which means that is multiplication. So I'm going to come in here and divide by -4 on both sides. When I do that, I get x plus 5 in absolute value equals negative divided by negative changes to a positive 4. So this one I am going to be able to do. So I split it at this junction. X plus 5 equals positive 4, and x plus 5 equals negative 4. We have to take into account both directions. And then I just solve. So I subtract 5 from each equation, and then that's going to get me my answer. So x is going to equal a -1, or x is going to equal a -9. So that's how you solve that one. And then the last one we have, the minimum and maximum temperatures on a cold day in Lollipop Town can be modeled by the equation below. What are the minimum and maximum temperatures of the day? So I just need to get that again, solve, and get the x by itself. Well, I got 2 pieces that are attached to this absolute value. Always deal with the addition and subtraction first. It's easier to get rid of them, so that's where I want you to start. Okay, so get rid of the addition subtraction part. So I'm going to move the 14 over. So that's going to give me 2 absolute value of x minus 6 And that's going to equal 38 minus 14, 24. And then I need to get this 2 off. Well, it's multiplication, so I'm going to come in here and divide both sides by 2. So when I do that, now I've got absolute value of x minus 6, and that's going to equal 12. So I'm here, I've got it down here, that's positive, so at this point I can do my division here and do my 2 mini problems. So x minus 6 is going to equal positive 12. X minus 6 will equal a negative 12. Let me clean that up a little bit. Okay, and then I just finished that up. So add 6. So x, 18. And then I add 6. And I have x equals, and that's negative 6. And that is how you finish that problem. So now I have all the problems worked out. And again, if you need extra help, don't hesitate to let me know.